When the world is in crisis, what can we do but continue to race? Not in the real world, of course, here in the virtual world of iRacing, where we are here at Laguna Seca for the third round of Missed Apex Podcast Global Mazda MX-5 Cup Championship. And we are in for a fantastic evening of some great races. We've got 3 championship races coming up for you this evening. I'm Chris Stevens. I'll be your lead commentator this evening, and I'm joined tonight by Chris Catman-Turner.
Good evening, Chris. If practice was anything to go by, I am very excited for the racing today. It's going to be epic.
Absolutely. They were going absolute hammer and tongs during Thursday's practice session, where we did see a couple of practice race runs in there. And there was some very, very exciting stuff. We'll also be hearing intermittently from Spanners, who is currently out on track down in 9th place in this practice session. So hopefully he will be able to give us some input as to what has been going on in his race. And we hope to be joined by Matt Trumpets as well later on. But at the moment, we're just coming up to the end of practice. Got about 15 minutes left in this session. And you'll see some familiar names up at the top of the times if you were with us for the round at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And of course, we're expecting some very, very different racing this weekend. Given that Charlotte with the oval section was all about the slipstream, this is much more of a technical challenge. But our race 1 winner from last time out, Steve Ficacci, is currently at the top of the times on a 1 minute 39.147. And then Bradley Philpott returning to the MX-5 Championship for Missed Apex, although his first appearance this season in second place, just less than a tenth of a second behind, and then an even smaller margin, just 0.03 to David Hatton. So there in the top 3 in this session, we have our top 2 guys in the championship who are level on points going into the first race this evening, despite Ficacci having 3 wins and Hatton none so far this season. But that is certainly something he will be looking to change. And in fact, the last time I commentated on a race at Laguna Seca that he was in, he was very, very quick indeed, although that was probably a couple of years ago now. Just elsewhere in the order, we have John Lang in 4th place, one of our most dedicated Patreons. And as so many of the people in this championship are, you'll see anybody with running a Missed Apex livery is a Patreon, and they get those specially designed by another one of our patrons, who are just a fantastic bunch to have around. In fact, John himself sent me a whole new PC to be running iRacing with, and hopefully I get to do some of my own iRacing experiences as well in the future. But just for the time being, he's in 4th place with Sam Harper in 5th, James Wingfield, Ian Erasmus, Michael Weddle, Richard Spanners Ready, and Tim Ellis are top 10 so far. So, Chris, what are we expecting to see during our 3 races tonight?
Well, as I say, with the practice sessions that we've seen so far, they did do some simulated races, and it was all very close. There was a lot of argy-bargy and quite a lot of carnage, so I'm expecting a little bit of that, but also some incredibly close racing, particularly between the top guys who were so close, and their pace is absolutely lightning quick around here as well.
In car?
We can go to Spanners now. Spanners, you're driving around the circuit. How excited are you for this evening?
Can you unmute me so I can speak hands-free?
You are good. Go ahead, Spanners. We're having a little bit of trouble connecting to Spanners there. It's not letting me unmute him.
Okay, so I'm speaking now. You can hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, that's fine. There's definitely a top group of about 5, 6, 7 guys who are just that little bit ahead. So people like Brad, Ficacci, Hatton, Harper, Wingfield, who are just that out of touch. They've got that kind of pro-level speed, and there is a definite best of the rest behind that, and that's where I'm aiming to be.
Well, Spanners is only 1.2 seconds off the top time, and in fact, just 1 second covers the top 7 in this session so far, although that could very quickly come undone in qualifying, where we'll really see the pace of these guys. Another rookie that we maybe ought to talk about in this championship for this weekend is Kyle Power, Missed Apex's own. And if you have watched our karting videos from either Buckmore Park or from the other one we did. The name has suddenly escaped my
Rye
recollection.
House.
Rye House, that was the one. Sorry, Rye House. You were absolutely fantastic. Oh dear, Spanners, in giving me the name of the circuit, has caused himself to spin down at turn 9. But thanks, Spanners. It was well worth it.
So the plan was that Catman was able to unmute me to stop me doing that kind of thing while trying to talk to you.
We'll get it sorted. Don't worry.
Chris, can you hear me from the cockpit?
Bradley Philpott has joined us. Hello, Bradley.
Hello. Now, I do have to drive one-handed to press the talk button, but I just wanted to check that you could hear me, so feel free to check in during the event. I will be ready to chat.
Don't worry, Brad. We can set up a system where we can unmute you ourselves if we want to talk to you, and we will warn you if we're about to go live with you.
Excellent. Well, have a good race, guys. Enjoy. Hope we put on a good show.
Yeah, good luck, Brad. Brad, you'll be able to see running in the colours that he would have been running on his Lotus this season with Avon tyres and Huller and 24 Sec. Those guys as regular sponsors. Got to say the car looks fantastic. We've got one of the other cars off on the road there just ahead of Spanners. Couldn't quite make out who that was. But the point I was trying to make about Carl Power, in fact, was that if you've seen our karting videos from Rye House or Butmore Park, you'll know that he is fantastically quick. And with Alex Van Dien and indeed David Hatton has had some incredible battles over the last year or so. So we should absolutely be keeping an eye out for him. Although he is, as I say, in his first weekend of iRacing in general, not just this championship. And he doesn't have the most ideal setup at the moment. So we shouldn't be looking for him to start scoring podiums straight away. But nonetheless, we will keep an eye out for him during the course of the event.
Just so you know, Chris Stevens, we have one more driver available for you to talk to, and that is Matt Trumpets as well.
Trumpets finally joined us. Okay, well, while he sorts out his audio, we'll come back to him a little bit later. But
no, that should be fine. Should be better now. You
can hear me? Go. Straight away. There you go.
Yeah, I just forgot to move the microphone as well. Do I need to? Can I leave myself unmuted and then you can unmute me there? Because I love that idea.
Yeah, we can do that. No worries.
Super. That's what I'll do. Yep. No, I was fighting with a windshield wiper, so I'm far behind in my first race from lit up.
No worries. Got a good bit of practice in last night, so hopefully he'll be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, we'll do the best we can. Although is this a different time of day, or is this still morning?
Oh, I could not tell you.
You're useless.
I can say it's still morning, and there's been some discussion and controversy actually, Chris, over this.
Indeed. Well, I guess because it's something to do with how quick you can go at different parts of the day.
So I wanted the live stream to look lovely, which means it being in the light. Other people wanted it to be in the afternoon for the conditions. But as I understand it, these cars seem to react better to the cold. So the earlier we go, the more grip we're going to have. So this first session will be the least grippy session because of the long practice we've had. And then race 2 and 3, the reverse grids, will have a lot more grip than the first heat.
That's right, and currently the track temperature is 78 Fahrenheit, which in usual money is...
It's about 28? Was it about roughly the same yesterday?
It was a little bit chillier yesterday. It was 75 yesterday. It's 24 centigrade on the track. So, that is pretty chilly for a race circuit, especially one that's in California.
So don't forget to mute me at your end, if you can still hear me. And I'm going to go out and try and get another lap or two in.
Perfect. So I have the ultimate power, which is excellent. So I'm going to mute you all. And then if I want to speak to you, I will.
So we're just watching Brad Philpott at the moment. Coming down the front straight. And as I say, second quickest time at the moment, 1 minute 39.210. And undoubtedly, he will be fighting for most of the wins today, I would have thought. Really has a chance to shake up the order in terms of the championship, because, well, as we say, the championship is scored by the number of rivals that you beat. So there isn't a set system, first place gets 25 points, second place gets 18, like in most other championships. No, depending on the number of cars you beat, that is how many points you will score. So we could get big fluctuations, we could get big grids or small grids, although we are expecting another very healthy grid this weekend. And should see a lot of familiar names in there from either our other iRacing championships or our karting events as well.
Me and Matt running together on track.
See who's ahead of who. I've got Ian Erasmus for company of Spanners. Ian Erasmus yesterday showing flashes of speed, but also getting involved in a few incidents, although maybe he'll rectify that this weekend. Got a car off just in front of them down at the penultimate corner. That was Grant Berger, who just went off the road in front of Spanners. But Spanners still running closely there with Ian Erasmus and Matt Trumpets. And he's also got the 44 car of Stephen Armstrong bearing down on him as well. So a little bit of traffic for Spanners to contend with. Not the optimal conditions for trying to improve a lap time.
I would always use practice for a number of things, and actually race practice isn't actually a bad thing to get your head into at this part of the game, because obviously we've got qualifying coming up fairly shortly. They'll be going for a real hot lap at that stage, but right now you just want to get your head in the game. Qualifying isn't everything. You really got to be nailed on for that race.
Yeah, absolutely. And although the first race isn't the be-all and end-all, because we have two reverse grids for race 2 and 3. So plenty of opportunities for people to catch up as Armstrong there takes a bit of an off-track excursion up at turn 6, which was the corner to watch yesterday, Chris. We had several cars going off at that high-speed left-hander.
Absolutely. If you get that wrong, you are in the wall very quickly, and there's a real technique to getting it right. There's only one real line through there, and that's by hooking up the apex and getting into that dip that hooks you round. If you miss that, you go off onto the dust and you either spear back across the circuit or head straight into the barriers on that side. It's a very tricky corner to get right.
Yeah, one line through there didn't stop these guys from trying to overtake through there, though, did it?
I think trying was the operative word there.
Yeah, probably. So, not long to go till the end of this session. I think less than 5 minutes or so. 2 minutes left in this session, actually. So, any last gasps in there to try and improve the times, although we will be heading into qualifying shortly. So, should be getting plenty of on-track action there. Could be a little bit tricky for some of the guys, in all honesty, because the tyres have proved to be a little bit finicky in trying to prepare them properly, and then after 3 or 4 laps they seem to be past their best as well, so could be a bit strategic when it comes to getting in a quick lap time. Philpott has got the top spot, although that is because Steve Ficacci has disappeared from our timing. He's been sort of flickering on and off for whatever reason, maybe a connection issue there, although this is the realities of sim racing, unfortunately. It does still have that top time, although we're not seeing it at the moment, but I'm assured he is still the session leader. So we're currently with David Hatton, joint leader in the championship, although of course on count back because he hasn't won a race yet this season. Is technically second, and he should be a demon to watch out there. Actually, just behind Ficacci on track in that very distinguishable 7-Up car. And Hatton with the black and the orange checkers on the bonnet and either side and the rear of his car. So expect to expect to see them on track together, and we're just coming up to the end of the session now. So we will be just following Bradley Philpott, I think, just coming out of the pit lane for the start of this qualifying session.
So the format, if I'm right, Chris, is that we're going to have single qualifying, so there'll be no other cars on track apart from the guys, so they have a nice clear lap, but they're all going at the same time.
Yeah, so we can see all of them, but the competitors themselves, they'll only see themselves. So, yep, there will be nice clear track for them, and no interruptions with traffic. But we can see everyone on the circuit as they go, and we'll follow Brad as he sets up this first flying lap, just coming through the corkscrew. Maybe if we can chat to Brad, he can talk us through a lap, perhaps, which shouldn't be too much of a hardship for him.
So I have to drive one-handed to speak to you, so if you have to unmute me, feel free.
Yep, we'll unmute you.
That's right, Brad, you are unmuted. You will hopefully not have to go one-handed.
Yep, so coming through the final corner, about to set up his first flying lap. Bradley Philpott, take it away.
Okay, so we're just going to basically try and use all the revs possible before we change up to the next gear and take the shortest possible line over the start line here. And around this kind of long, gentle first couple of corners, staying in fourth gear, going to brake with half of the car on the concrete here, using a lot of engine braking and then really trying to V this corner off. Kind of trying to hook up with the second curb and get early on the power. And this next right-hander is just about not going in too fast. You've got to brake quite early and really roll the car in. I've run a little bit wide there and I'm late getting on the gas, but this is kind of unknown territory for all of us because the temperature's a little bit higher than it has been in some of the practice. So out onto this next long straight, I'm currently about a tenth and a half behind my optimal lap. So my out lap was actually quicker at this point. And we're going to turn it early for this left-hander. Sorry, I don't know any of the names. And this is where we're starting to make some time back. I gained about a tenth and a half through there. And now we've got the crucial left-hander coming up, but everyone runs wide. I'm going to back off early, turn in early, hook up with the bump, and it went well. We gained another half a tenth through there. Now we're going to head up towards the corkscrew, brake as late as possible without going too deep. So here we go. I'm going to brake about now. Down 2 gears, curb on the inside, then early on the power down the hill, and a short shift. We're now 1/10 up on the optimal lap, taking a really short line through here and just rolling it in using the inside curb. And we've gained 3/10 now, so this is looking a lot better. Back down to third gear, slightly wide through the right-hander, so I'm going to have to do better on the next lap. I'm going to brake early for the final corner. Down 2 gears, another early turn in, although actually somehow I managed to miss the curb. Oh, and I've missed a gear as well on the exit, which is not going to be good as I cross the line for my second flying lap and I lose a bit of time at the start. So we've done a 140.7, pretty rubbish. Back over to you guys.
That was absolutely fascinating, Brad. Thank you very much for your input there. And don't worry about knowing any of the corner names, because I think only 3 of them actually have corners, including the one he's going around now, which is the Andretti hairpin, and the corkscrew we all know, and then the left-hander which follows, the Ramey's curve, but a 1:40.7 there for Brad on that occasion. Sam Harper, the early leader in this session at the moment, on a 1:40.0, and then Michael Weddle has just gotten into second place there with a 1:40.5, but still very much the early stages in this session, as only about 14 cars have set a lap so far. Steve Ficacci immediately up into second place, 1 minute 40.2 for him. Where else have we got times? We've got John Lang in fifth place, 1 minute 40.8. Anil Singh slotting in behind him. And then Tim Ellis in that very recognizable all green number 9 car, 1 minute 41.5. Matt Murphy, Barry Kemp, and then Carsten Lench is your top 10 at the moment. We are with Ficacci at the moment in that second place, and this could be very crucial between him and David Hatton, who we have not yet seen set a lap time. But of course, all eyes are going to be on these two as the leaders of the championship.
Fairly conservative first lap so far. They're about a second off the pace they were setting in practice and the actual practice session yesterday as well, so there's plenty of improvement. As I say that, David Hatton goes up to 39.4 and John Lang goes up to 39.7, so the times are tumbling.
Yep, second lap for both John Lang and Bradley Philpott there, 1 minute 39.7, 1 minute 39.8 respectively. David Hatton immediately into the 1:39.4s with his first lap out the pit, so only 2.5 tenths away from his best lap from practice. So very, very strong opening lap there for him. And immediately 5 places on the grid gained ahead of his title rival Ficacci.
That's it. So it's a 15-minute session, so we've got a bit of time to bed themselves in and really go for that hot lap.
It was great hearing from Brad, wasn't it? I don't know about you, but I just sat back and took a sip of a drink and just enjoyed watching him drive. We got Ficacci, I think, just backing off on that one, probably about to head back into the pit. So let's see if David Hatton can improve on his 1 minute 39.4. Don't think he's actually on the track. Maybe he only did one flying lap on that occasion. We've got Spanners on track at the moment, currently in 15th place, 1 minute 41.7, and we'll see if he can improve on his second flying lap. Just coming through the corkscrew now, nice and tidy through there so far. Not taking all the curb on the right hand side, but neat nonetheless. Flying through Ramey's curb there, and that's nicely done. 2 corners left for Spanners. Tight on the inside there through the right-hander. How brave is he feeling on the brakes for the final left-hander at turn 11? Flings it in there. A little bit wider than he wanted to be. But we'll see how he gets on the power down the front straight. What is the time going to be?
So actually, I'd completed my 2 qualifying laps already.
Okay. So that'll be what? Well,
I'm so far off the pace, though. I can't believe I'm down in 17th.
Plenty of time to improve still, but we're definitely seeing the top guys start to show their hand.
So the only thing I can think is I really hit a curb on my outlap, and I'm wondering how much that has affected my pace, because I'm way down than I have been all weekend so far.
So we've got 35 cars in this race, or so far in this session. So mid-pack there for Spanners. We're with Ishmael Basso at the moment in the red Mission Winnow car. He is currently in 9th position on a 1 minute 40.9, although actually he's just been pushed down to 10th place. And he's in there around with Gary Thomas just behind him by a few hundredths of a second, 3/10 ahead of him. Sam Watley in the number 1 car. Coming through the final corner. See if he can't improve on that one. Down the front straight, 1 minute 40.991 to beat for Ishmael Basso. And either he's done his 2 laps or he didn't improve on that one. He remains in 11th place with that one. And yep, just pulling over to the side of the track now. He'll be back in the pits. So Connor Meyer on track in the number 19 green car. Very easy to get him and Tim Ellis mixed up. But of course, Connor Meyer with the Missed Apex logos on the doors and on the windshield. And he is also backing out of this one, so he's done his run. And we're with John Cox, currently in 26th place. And there's a very distinguishable livery for anybody who is hoping to identify some cars pretty quickly. The BWT Racing Point Special. No need to ask him which Formula One team he likes or what his favorite brand of bubblegum water is. So car number 28 now in 28th place as we're getting some more times in across the board. He's just coming through turn 5. Richard Molden also out on track, although just stopping on track as well for some reason. But as one of our race organisers, we ought to give him a shout out anyway in that number 69 car. He is essential for putting these events on, and we're forever grateful to him for that. So yet to set a time is Adam Rossell, Carl Power, Matt Trumpet, Robert McCulloch, and Gregory Leader. And Gregory Leader, one of our top guys from the last round at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Very easy to spot him on track in the Castrol colours, as is Matt Trumpets, who we are following now in that gold Mazda. And if we get close enough, you can just see the music notes on the door. Should point out he comes up as Matthew Ragsdale on the timings. That's because we have to take the iRacing name.
I must say, Chris, just sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to have a shout out to everybody who contributes to the Missed Apex podcast and to these events. We've got such a dynamic range of people with such varied skills. We should also give a shout out to Steve, our video editor at this stage, who's also our producer for this live event, and we're very grateful to his contribution. But there are so many people. We've got such strength and depth in this squad. We're very proud of it all.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. So, Trumpets coming up to start his first flying lap. Just got out of the pits, running the number 33 this evening rather than his usual 55. Coming through the Andretti hairpin, and he keeps it tight, just as Phil Pott was telling us, although not using a lot of the road on the exit. I wonder if he's just treating this as a bit more of a preparation lap, get the tyres in the right spot. And we know that Matt Trumpets is the tyre whisperer of the Missed Apex panel. Through the right-hander at turn 4. And Chris, I imagine you've done quite a few laps around this circuit. What does it take to get a good lap out of it?
The circuit's a very tricky one. It's I think the beauty of this track, it's just the elevation change. You see Matt coming up towards turn 6 now with a very tricky one with a dip in the middle. He took that perfectly, but then you see him just rising up this hill. And actually, if you go to Laguna Seca, I'd highly recommend that once we're all able to travel again, that you do head to the real circuit. This is the corkscrew that we're just coming into now. And you can just see it's such a big dip. And actually, in real life, it's I think the game doesn't do it justice. It's such a hilly circuit. And the bumps as well, it's so tricky to hook up a decent lap, especially in these cars. You can see them squirreling around all over the place, particularly with the rear wheel drive. You can very easily make a mistake, and actually that'll provide us a lot of good racing today, I think, as well, Chris.
Absolutely. A bit of a tardy lap at the end there for Trumpets up on the curbs, sliding through Ramey's curve, but that's his first lap on the board, although no time appeared for that one. So at the moment he's last, and with a minute left in qualifying, might well be staying that way. So with time running out, let's just give you a rundown of the order so far. I've got David Hatton on pole position at the moment, ahead of Steve Ficacci. So our top two in the championship are going to be starting alongside each other on the grid as it stands. John Lang in the number 48 car in third place, Brad Philpott in fourth. Then we've got Sam Harper in the number 52 car in fifth place, Michael Weddle in sixth, James Wingfield seventh, Tim Ellis eighth, Neil Singh ninth, and Sam Watley in 10th place. Give you an update on Spanners. He is now in 18th position, and Trumpets, as it stands, will be starting 33rd out of 35 cars. So looks like it'll be all to do with Carl Power only one place in front of him. So we're going to be hopefully seeing him come through the pack. So as we wait for the grid to form up, we can give you a rundown of the championship. As we've mentioned, Steve Ficacci and David Hatton are top two joint on points, despite the fact that Ficacci has had 3 wins so far this season, and David Hatton yet to take the top spot. Bit of a gap down to Sam Harper and Lucas Wallace, and Spanners Ready in 5th place. But as we say, a lot of points up for grabs. You know, with 35 cars, that means the leader can get 34 points in one race, and with 3 races this evening, there's a lot of points up for grabs tonight. And John Lang, the last of the top guys who have competed so far in every race. And then we have the likes of Jelly Ooms, who have been right up there, but only in 3 races. And we are underway for the first race. It's a clean start for David Hatton, and Steve Ficacci just tucks up alongside him. Looks like that's Sam Watley just getting up on the grass there on the outside, and he's round actually. That number 1 car, Sam Watley, is off and round. Through the pit lane exit he goes, but he's had contact somewhere in there. John Lang and Bradley Philpott going wheel to wheel for 3rd place, but it looks like it is John Lang who is hanging on to it for now, with Sam Harper coming under pressure from Michael Weddle for 6th place. And a bit of a squirm there for James Wingfield in the orange and black number 24 car. Looks like he's already had contact down in there, but so he's I think dropped down a place, but Hatton it leads, and
breaking news for you, Chris.
And
Bradley Philpott is on his roof at the exit of turn 5. He is out of the race.
Wow, already so drama on the opening lap here at Laguna Seca, as Brad Philpott, our professional, already out. So he could have it all to do still. Top 3 pulling away already then. Bit of a gap to Sam Harper, it looks like. And somebody has been making big progress, and I'll tell you what, that's Michael Weddle in the number 7. I thought it was one of the Missed Apex liveried cars, because he's running very similar colours with the white, black and red, but no, it is Michael Weddle who's made his way up into P4, and at the end of lap 1, still Hatton leads, Ficacci and Lang, the top 3. A super close group, separated by 3/4 of a second at the end of lap 1.
Yeah, these 3 look like they're glued together. Ficacci looked to the inside, but he was just doing a bit of a done move on Hatton, trying to see if he can make him into an error. So the 3 of them really circulating very close together. It's going to be an exciting race today.
Gary Thomas has had a mega first lap, up from 11th into 5th place. James Wingfield did pick up a place. Hatton wide on the exit of turn 3 there. Could this be the opportunity for Ficacci? He looks up the inside at turn 4, but he doesn't find a way through. Now John Lang looks to be on the attack on the outside towards turn 5. They're side by side coming into the left-hander. Lang has already pulled ahead by the time they get on the anchors for the left-hander, but he's going wide through the corner, and Ficacci tries to get level with him on the exit, but unless he's fully alongside through the high-speed turn 6, he's not going to find his way back through there.
Yeah, you're brave if you stick your nose back in there.
Hatton again looks like he's made another small error, and that's put Lang right on the back of him as they head towards the corkscrew for the second time. Just covering the inside ever so slightly as they make his way down in there. I just mentioned Spanners. He's up 2 places from 18th on the grid. So he's up to 16th place. Good strong start there for him. Kyle Power has had an absolute lightning start from 33rd to 14th. So hopefully we'll see him come through the pack a little bit later on. But these 3 are absolutely mesmerising to watch at the moment. John Lang up 1 place at the end of lap 2. Not pulling away too much from Michael Weddle there. But again, just 0.7 of a second separate that top 3 as they come across the line to start lap 3. And Ficacci again looking towards that inside line at the Andretti hairpin. And might just find his way through because he's forced John Lang wide, and this could be the opportunity for Ficacci to retake second place. No, Lang has been able to hold on to it, and that's just given Hatton a little bit of breathing room there.
Yeah, that is the beauty of the Andretti hairpin. There are a number of lines through there, and you can defend quite happily just by cutting back to that apex again. It's a double apex hairpin, and it makes it for very interesting racing there.
So back into turn 5 for the 3rd time. Nothing separating these guys. And again, Michael Weddle, Gary Thomas and James Wingfield watching closely. And if these lots start squabbling, then that could bring those guys back into contention. Bit of traffic coming up already as some of the guys who've come into the pits for repairs are about to be a lap down. So that could wrong foot Hatton potentially, or any of this top 3, to be honest. Could play a part in this lead battle. Through Ramey's curve. All smooth for that top 3, although Lang looked like he was just getting a bit of a swapper on, and that's opened up the door for Ficacci. Down the inside he goes at the penultimate corner. Wonderful opportunistic move there. Lang, is he going to have another look back up the inside on the way into the final corner? No, settles into 3rd place. Ficacci back up into 2nd place.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about in the qualifying session, is that any tiny mistake between these 3 and it just drops you a place almost instantly. The bumps and the dips make it very hard to be consistent.
To right, and Ficacci again looking towards that inside of the Andretti hairpin, trying to get the lead away from his title rival.
And I believe we can go to Spanners now.
The carnage in the first corner was unbelievable. I did end up getting a bit of damage, but people were pretty polite, desperate to get out of the way and not be the one that ruins anyone's race.
You've said that's your strong point, though, is getting through the carnage on lap 1, up 4 places.
Yeah, so only a little bit of damage in that my steering wheel is now like basically at 90 degrees.
Sorry, Spanners, I'm going to have to just cut over you there because it's side by side for the lead of the race on the way into turn 6. And we were saying it's a brave man who goes up the inside there. And Ficacci is that brave man indeed. He takes the lead of race 1, and Hatton is slow on the exit of the corner. And traffic getting in the way there as well as Lang tries to get up around the outside. It's 3 wide on the way into the corkscrew, and Lang brilliantly takes 2nd place.
That was amazing how he had threaded the needle there. It's not done yet.
Hatton's not finished through Ramey's curve. He's back up the inside into 2nd place. And now Lang again looking towards the outside through the penultimate corner. All this just allowing Ficacci to stretch his legs out to the front. Look at the gap he's pulled already as Hatton is still trying to defend his 2nd place.
We can probably go back to Spanners now if I unmute him. So Spanners, you were saying?
Yeah, check if you can hear me. Well, basically, I've got a bit of a damage where I can't turn left very well. So that is making things interesting. Like
It's a good job not too many of these are left-handers then.
Yeah, well, I've got Gregory leader. There was no point fighting him with a slightly damaged car. I think I'm about a second off what I can do at the moment, which puts me in a great midfield fight. If I can stay near Kyle and John Cox, I'll be happy.
Not a bad crowd to be in at all. John Cox, another man who has made incredible progress, 28th to 12th at the moment. And Carl Power from 33rd has made up even more positions, up to 11th place now for the Global Mazda MX-5 Cup rookie of this weekend. Might just get rookie of the race with this one. So, leaders still close together. Ficacci had a 9/10 of a second advantage as they came over the start-finish line to begin lap 5. And Lang still looking for a way through, past Hatton into second place. As they go through the corkscrew one more time and into Ramey's curve. No way through for Hatton on this occasion. I saw him sliding his way through there a little bit earlier on. Looked a lot neater that time around. There's going to be very little to separate these guys come the end of it, is there? Hatton looked like he was feeling the need to go defensive into the final corner, but brings it back over to the line. Actually, looks like they've taken quite a chunk out of Ficacci's lead by not squabbling. So maybe they're just trying to work in tandem, make sure Ficacci doesn't get away, which is exactly what Hatton needs if he wants to take points away from his title rival. Yet 0.3 quicker was Hatton on that lap. So once again, less than a second covers the top 3.
We had a little bit of a scary moment there as somebody coming out the pit lane got on the grass, or rather on the dust just coming out, and nearly came right on in front of the leaders, but luckily he managed to spin back towards the inside.
Definitely pulling away from Michael Weddle. 3 seconds is the gap between Lang and that number 7 car in 4th place.
There is a great battle going on in the midfield between John Cox and Gregory Leader. If we can head to those guys now. Cox is going defensive, Leader is all over the back of him, and Sam Harper is joining in that fight as well. Coming down to turn 5, Harper's looking to the inside of Leader, but he thinks better of it, tucks in. So Harper in the blue Scottish car, and Leader in the Castrol liveried vehicle.
Leader, one of the most recognisable guys in this championship with the Castrol coloured cars, with John Cox as well. That's 3 very distinguishable cars. I was just keeping an eye on that lead battle, and John Lang did have a little look at Hatton into the penultimate corner, but to no avail on that occasion. So we're back with them now, and this looks like it could be Lang's opportunity, as he's got a great slipstream and he's pulled out towards that right-hand side, going towards the outside of the Andretti hairpin. Might force Hatton in deep. No, he keeps it tight in that number 21 car. So well defended there from Hatton, but once again, they're letting Ficacci get away.
That's it. Every time these two squabble over that position, it just gives Ficacci that little bit of breathing room that he needs.
Tim Ellis was a man in the wars on the opening lap, I believe it was. He's down in 22nd place from 8th on the grid, and he's got the track all to himself at the moment. Elsewhere, it looks like that battle between Cox, Leader and Harper is very much hotting up as they're squabbling about all over the place on the way out of turn 4. Still Cox who leads it, but Leader and Harper have swapped round. And it looked like things were getting a little bit elbows out as they came through there. And Spanners has caught onto the back of that pack as well. So it could be a 4-way scrap for what is currently 12th place.
Oh no, I'm going to have to do an overtake.
Yes, you are. You're going to have to break your golden rule as they head up towards the corkscrew. And it's Cox going towards the inside.
And there was a great lunge there from Harper on the inside of Leader, and he's taken the lead of this little battle with Leader just behind. And then John Cox is under pressure from Spanners Ready, who's going down the inside into turn 1. Oh, now he's thought better of it again.
Well, Spanners was an absolute demon on the brakes into the Andretti hairpin during Thursday's practice, and he didn't feel like pulling that same manoeuvre there. But Cox has lost 2 places with that little squabble there at the end of the previous lap. So he's down in 14th place currently.
We can hopefully go to Spanners live now. Spanners, how do you feel about this battle? Are you going to have a go for it deep under the brakes? I am trying to unmute Spanners, but it doesn't seem to be working. I do apologise.
How about that? How about now?
That's better. Go
Okay,
for
so
it,
Sam Harper is faster than this, so I'm assuming he's got a bit of damage. John Cox looks fighty, but it is going to cost me to get involved in this battle.
Fighty indeed. He was rubbing wheels with Leader, and Leader's gone off on the way into the corkscrew,
Yes.
maybe as a result of that contact.
And my plan of just waiting for people to crash works again.
Just point out a change for 4th place as Gary Thomas has gotten ahead of Michael Weddle. I think into the final corner. So that's 4th place for Gary Thomas in the number 29 Red Bull coloured car, but we're still going to be following this battle with Spanners. Still all this over 12th place. And John Cox is the next man in his sights for 13th. And yeah, Ian Erasmus has joined the fray as well there in 15th. Gregory Leader, maybe we're not giving him enough credit because he has come up from 31st on the grid. Adam Russales from 32nd to 17th as well, so he's made strong progress as well. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, it's looking pretty equidistant out there now. I think maybe they've had their squabbles. And, yep, this is indeed the last lap, actually. So Ficacci is going to take a 4th victory of the season and extend his championship lead ahead of David Hatton and John Lang, your podium. Ficacci takes the race 1 win. And Gary Thomas taking 4th place there with a very timely move on Michael Weddle. Gary Thomas there in the orange and blue number 29 car.
There is a squabble going on between Erasmus and Leader just behind Spanners. And they've settled each other out now, but they were side by side just coming out of the corkscrew into the final turn. There's a gaggle of 5 cars very close together.
Yeah, one of them is the back marker, and that's Erasmus flinging out the inside of Spanners at the final corner, making a last corner lunge as he got just enough momentum to stay ahead of Spanners by the time they get up to the line. Yes, he has. So it was Sam Harper who came out on top of that battle for 12th place ahead of John Cox, Mark Greenhow, and then Ian Erasmus and Spanners ready there with a really, really good squabble there. Gregory Leader 16th, and hats off to rookie Carl Power 33rd to 10th. A phenomenal debut. race 2 from Laguna Seca about to get underway. The first of the reverse grid of races, although there is going to be a slight amendment in the order. We saw Bradley Philpott flying across the road on the opening lap of race 1, and that is because his screen froze and completely disconnected. So awful luck for him, and that would usually mean that he would be starting on pole position for this race. However, because he is the professional racing driver among us, I think the general consensus has been that he will start this race, if he does indeed start it, from the pit lane, and will probably be right with these guys in a couple of corners anyway. So won't be much for harm or a foul for him there. But Chris, a great first race to set us up, and we'll have surely even more fun in race 2.
Yeah, it was absolutely stunning. I think the first 3 cars on that grid, they were nose to tail the whole way around. It was absolutely brilliant, and I suspect that they will be carving their way through the pack and will probably be right back up at the top of the field by the end of the race. And as you say, Bradley Philpott into that mix as well. We've got a very tasty one coming up.
Yep, plenty of cars that should be coming through the action, although of course got to keep out of trouble on that opening lap, and that was something that Sam Watley was unable to do. Had not even made it to the Andretti hairpin before he was facing the wrong way, unfortunately, and hopefully he will fare better in this race 2. The cars that you're seeing on track at the moment are just in a intermittent warm-up while we wait to get everything prepared, but the race should be getting underway very, very shortly, and we'll be able to give you a sort of brief grid as well for that one, hopefully, for the top runners.
So, Chris, you were saying about Bradley Philpott being the racing driver among us. You watch him race. Give us a little bit of an update on to what he was doing up until recently.
Yeah, well, he of course has been a stonewall of the VLN Endurance Championship at the Nürburgring in Germany. And
Race starting soon.
I've been able to go and see him twice, in fact, and it's always fun to go and watch him race. But I would get more into the details of what it's like to be with Brad Philpott at a race weekend. But as you can see, the cars are forming up on the grid, and we will be underway very shortly. So it's going to be John McClintock who starts on pole position ahead of Henk Ensing in the number 24 and 21 cars, respectively. And then...
So, Chris?
Oh, hi, Matt.
Yes, the person being unmuted needs to select allow host to unmute you. And that's why it's not working the way you want it to.
Yeah, we've covered that, Matt. Don't worry. So you will need to unmute if you want to speak to the comms team.
So, cars lined up on the grid, about to get underway very, very shortly. McClintock and Hensing on the front row, as we mentioned. And in third place, Matt Murphy there in the number 12 car, and immediately Hensing is alongside him as the lights go out. So a change for the lead in the opening meters of the race, side by side as they come through that first left-hander, but it's going to be Ensing who leads them away. Bollard's flying left, right, and center as they come through there, but into the Andretti hairpin. Looks like it's all clean so far. Matt Trumpets going around the outside there of Martin Clapper's Clapham, but loses out there actually on the exit of the corner. So all very well behaved in the opening few corners so far, Chris.
Yeah, there's a whole gaggle of them. We're not used to with watching Formula One. Oh, as you say that, Chris, there's a spinner at turn 4. And I think that might actually be Michael Weddle, I think.
Yeah, I can just see some dust in the back of the shot there. Round goes P2, Joe McClintock. Our pole man has gone spinning down at turn 5. Looked like he was lining up a move on Hensing for the lead, but he has gone round, and that has promoted Martin Clapper's Clapham, I think. And actually, I can tell you who it was who was going round. It was Matt Murphy, because he's plummeted down the order and is only just coming up to turn 6 now, just behind Steve Ficacci. So Ensing with a massive lead as it stands. It's Carsten Lench who is now in second place in that number 14 white Mist Apex liveried car. And then it's Richard Molden, one of the guys who is absolutely essential into setting up these races, ahead of Edward Shelley. Next in the line in the number 1, sponsored by Pop-Tarts. He is in that one. And then it is Sam Watley as well. And Watley coming under pressure from Gregory Leader. Up the inside he goes into the final corner. Through goes the number 7 car as well. So 2 places lost there to Leader and Michael Weddle. Weddle's not finished though. He's going past Leader as well down the pit straight. And he's still not done. Going through on Molden as well on the way into the Andretti hairpin. So 3 corners, 3 places made up in about 2 corners there for Michael Weddle. Brilliant bit of action there as Gregory Leader also makes his way past Richard Molden. Looks like Sam Watley is about to do the same as well as they come through turn 3.
Absolutely, there's a terrible couple of corners for him. There's got passed by 3 cars along that straight into the Andretti hairpin.
So maybe Matt Trumpets was caught up in that action down at turn 4 on the opening lap, because he's fallen down the order as well. He is currently looking at the back of Carl Power's car. We'll see. Spanners has moved up to 13th place, but he is right in there with... actually, no, he's the one ahead of Trumpets. Trumpets and Spanners are line astern at the moment and heading up towards the corkscrew. And I think it's Stuart Elder that Spanners is about to put a move on. Indeed he has, on the way into the corkscrew. Nicely done. And now he's got John Lang for company. Carsten Lench, by the way, it looks like he's closing in on the leader. It was 1 second at the start of lap 2. It's much less than that now. Meanwhile, this battle for 3rd place is really hotting up. And off goes the number 1 car, Edward Shelley, who was in 3rd place. Looks like he's been punted into the final corner there. So with that, it's now Michael Weddle who leads this battle for P3 ahead of Gregory Leader and Sam Watley. With Sam Harper also not far behind them as well, a couple of seconds back, but that will close up surely. So lead battle is only separated by 3 tenths between Ensing and Lemch, and Weddle, Leader and Watley only 8 tenths between them in the battle for 3rd. Apologies to the live stream viewers. Usually we are able to select the drivers that we want to see, but it looks like the system is having a little bit of trouble at the moment. So we will try and call this race as best we can and describe to you what's happening in case you're not seeing it on screen. We are currently watching the battle for 3rd place, and we can also see the lead battle closing up as well. Carsten Lemch has got a wonderful run on Henk Ensing and had a look towards the inside, and Ensing feels like he's got to go way wide, and Lemch has slowed up massively, and through goes Weddle into P2. Really opportunistic stuff there on the way into the penultimate couple of corners now. Leader is going to try and follow through as well. Weddle actually might be about to make a move for the lead. Top 4 line astern, down the inside goes Leader on Lemch, and side by side for the lead. Ensing did not have a good run out of that final corner, and Weddle is into the lead by the time they cross the stripe to start lap 4.
Ensing missed his braking point into the final corner, put him onto the marbles and then onto the apron on the outside, and that got him a very poor exit, just as Carsten Lench is going up the inside of... Leader's got him back again though. That was good moves from him. And then Watley is also joining in this battle. Yeah,
look at this. They've just got 5 cars now battling over 2nd place. So it's Ensing who still holds it, but Leader is going to be trying to find a way through very quickly indeed. And Carsten Lemch all over that as well. Pretty much the meat in the sandwich on this one, especially with Sam Harper now in it, and up the inside goes Leader. Ensing goes wide and loses 2 places. Is it about to be 3? Here comes Sam Harper, about to take 2 in 1 straight. He's past his namesake, Sam Watley, and up on the inside of turn 6 on Ensing. He's up 2 spots.
Yeah, Watley got boxed out there, but he's got his revenge is up on the inside of Ensing now.
Yep, loses the place and is about to take another one on the way into the corkscrew, and nicely done. So now we've got Leader and Lemch, a bit of a gap forming up between them now. Sam Harper has moved up as well into 4th place now. Yep, just ahead of Sam Watley in 5th. Ensing still holding on, but Ian Erasmus behind them has got John Lang for company as well. So they've really caught up. This whole field is just bunching up now, and any one of them could be in 2nd place really by the time we get to the checkered flag.
That's it. And so we've got John Lang, who was in that top battle. He's really carving through the field. He's done incredibly well, up to P7 now. But Michael Weddle in the lead. He came up from grid 29 up to the lead of the race in a couple of laps.
Yeah, John Lang, 31st on the grid, and now running in 6th, I believe, as he's just got past Hensing at the Andretti hairpin, and Hensing almost getting a bit of a shove there from Ian Erasmus. Again, loads more cars for company as well. Tim Ellis in the all-green number 2 car. David Hatton and Steve Ficacci, our championship leaders, are coming through this battle as well now, having started down at the back of the grid. There's Erasmus up the inside, and Hatton trying to make a move on Ellis as well, and he's going to pick up 2 places as well. Ficacci trying to follow him through as well. 4, 5 cars in an absolute gaggle heading towards turn 6. Hatton makes up 2 places, didn't feel like making a 3rd up at turn 6.
They gave Ensing a bit of a love tap on the way past, just to say hi, I'm here, and off I go.
Hatton thinking about another move on the inside of the corkscrew, side by side, but didn't look like he's pulling off. Actually, still wheel to wheel, and Ficacci looks like he's going to try and take advantage of that as well. Erasmus loses 2 places there to our championship leaders. So they're both still heading up the order. There is just 10 seconds covering the top 12 last time around, and in that 12th spot is Bradley Philpott from the pit lane. So he is definitely making up places, and we're starting to see what he can do after that technical error he had in race 1 that forced him to drop out after only 3 corners.
Inca.
We can go to Spanners now. How are you getting on, Spanners?
Oh, well, I'm in the pit lane, and I've got a lovely view of all the cars flying by.
What happened to you?
Well, I braked a bit late into 1 corner, and the people I was battling with avoided it, but then I got collected, put me down to about 25th, and then overtaking Mr. Cox, and then he just punted into the back of me, unfortunately. The thing is, in the corkscrew, everyone's got a different braking point, which is causing a lot of problems.
So we can summarise that with ambition outweighing talent then, Spanners.
From me, maybe.
He got it in. He said it.
It's so gutting though. You spend so long practicing, and then and you feel so robbed. You can see why the real drivers out on the pit radio sound so frustrated.
John Lang is the man on the move at the moment. Has just picked up Sam Botley. And I believe that was Carsten Lench. Actually, no, it's getting around the lap traffic with Clappers up in there. Thought he was making an attack on 3rd place. But actually, he's going to have to be looking at his mirrors to defend 4th. John Lang absolutely flying from 31st on the grid. And only 5 seconds off the lead, although we're coming into the last 3 laps. So a podium is not out of the question. Although a win might well be. Although if Gregory Leader can close in and start squabbling with Michael Weddle, those two could start to hold each other up. And they're only separated by 3/4 of a second at the moment. Sam Harper currently in 3rd place. Lemch still ahead of Lang for the time being. So we'll stick with Lang for as long as we can. And
just behind Lang, we've got Watley, but behind him you've got Hatton and Ficacci still battling. They are absolutely glued together, and Philpott is just dragging himself into that battle as well. This could get very tasty in the last few laps of this race.
Lang pounces and makes his move on Lemch on the run out of turn 4 into 5. Looks like he's got quite a fair bit of front bodywork damage, and so maybe he's not going to be able to get through this field quite as quickly as he normally would, because that is most likely going to be compromising him. But yeah, absolutely right. Just behind this, the championship battle taking place, and actually they're side by side going into the corkscrew. Vicacci going around the outside of his title rival, but Hatton holds on.
Yeah, it'd be very brave if you make it around the outside of the corkscrew, never mind the inside. But yeah, they've gone back into line again, and this is all getting very, very close.
Yeah, there was one brave man I saw going around the outside of the corkscrew in a V8 supercar race I commented on. It was one of my first ever commentary gigs, and I'll try and remember his name at some point, because brave was indeed the word of the day for that one. So penultimate lap of the race underway, just 0.6 of a second between the leaders now, but it is still Michael Weddle in that top spot in the number 7 car with
And
Gregory
at the-
Leader in the Castrol colours. Oh, bit of contact down at the Andretti hairpin, it looked like, and again
Yeah.
our championship leaders are side by side. Looks like that was Sam Watley who went round there, but it is Vicacci getting ahead of his title rival around the outside of turn 3, and he picks up, I think that is now 6th place. And closing right in this battle as well, Bradley Philpott. He's about to come in, say hello. And says hello straight away up the inside of Hatton at turn 5. So from the pit lane, he's now brought himself right into contention with our championship leaders, who did also start at the back of the grid, it must be said. So it's not like they've had all the time in the world to just pull away and go. Hatton trying to fight back as they run up towards the corkscrew, but can't do anything with it on this occasion.
Hatton may also be carrying a little bit of front end damage, as he was the one who sent Watley into a spin at the first corner.
So that's unfortunate for Watley. John Lang, meanwhile, looks like he's about to put himself up into the podium placings despite that damage, although we can see Sam Harper also with some damage. They were wheel to wheel on the way into the final corner, and it is John Lang with the momentum as they come down the front straight, and it looks like this is going to be the change for 3rd place, even though it's Sam Harper covering that inside line. And we can see Vicacci trying to get around the outside of Lemch as well in the back of the shot, but John Lang going around the outside, couldn't make that one stick. So final lap of the race underway, and that gap between Leader and Weddle is still there. So it doesn't look like Leader's going to be able to mount the attack. Maybe all eyes are on 3rd place, see if John Lang can get onto the podium. And super close they are through turn 5.
He's absolutely pushing Harper around. This is going to be such a tight exit.
Steve Vicacci, meanwhile, just a little bit further back, is making his way past Carsten Lemch into 5th place. There, so putting a little bit more distance between him and Hatton. 2 cars between them now, but up at the front of the field, Michael Weddle, it looks like he is about to take his first victory of the season.
And Harper and Lang are trading paint through the corkscrew. Sorry, and Lang gets through. Harper pushed wide.
So final corner now for Michael Weddle and Gregory Leader, but it is going to be Michael Weddle in that number 7 car who takes the race 2 victory ahead of Gregory Leader. And that was quite the scrap here to pull off there. 29th to 1st, 18th to 2nd for Leader. And across the line as well comes John Lang, 31st on the grid up to the podium, just ahead of Sam Harper. And Steve Vicacci was not far behind them in the end. And he does indeed outscore David Hatton, who did manage to pick up a couple of places. So he doesn't lose out all that much to his title rival. Bit of damage limitation there, perhaps. Carsten Lemch comes up behind them. Bradley Philpott from the pit lane up into 8th place. Ian Erasmus and Sam Watley, despite that spin on the penultimate lap, comes home in 10th place. So one more race still to come, and it's going to be another reverse grid race. So it looks like we'll be seeing Barry Kemp and Mark Greenhow on the front row for that one, but we're going to have a nice tasty scrap to come up for the final race of the evening. the orange 505 car. Revs are up for the final race of the day, and it is a smoky start there for Barry Kemp from pole position, but he leads the field away with Martin Greenhow in close proximity, and off into the barriers there in down at turn 1 is one of the green cars. I believe that was Conor Meyer.
And Greenhow's been sent backwards. He is also backwards in the first corner, so he is plummeting down the field. But Barry Kemp has got a lightning start. He's miles ahead.
Yep, Tim Ellis in third place, just lost out there on the way into turn 3. He's got John Cox for company, so James Wingfield in second place there. So it was, Greenhow really the loser of that first lap, as he's way down the order now. So Wingfield second, Tim Ellis third, John Cox fourth, Spanners ready right up there in 5th place, and he's got Gary Thomas for close company, and might be even closer. They've got Trumpets just behind them, but Gary Thomas is lining up a move on Spanners ready on the way out towards the corkscrew, and he's got it done before they throw the anchors out for the tight left-hander. James Wingfield off the road there with Barry Kemp, our two leaders all over the show, but it is James Wingfield who has taken the lead at the penultimate corner, so not sure how that unfolded, but there's Tim Ellis trying to get around the outside now. So Wingfield will lead race 3 at the end of lap 1. Then we have Barry Kemp, but is that going to be Tim Ellis now in second place? Side by side as they come over the line, only separated by a few hundredths of a second. And it looks like this is going to be Tim Ellis' second place, as he's got the inside line for the Andretti hairpin. And through goes the number 27 car.
And Cox looking to go through him with him as well.
Yeah, John Cox in close proximity there. Spanners ready, also not too far behind them as well. Just behind them, a name we haven't mentioned so far tonight, Danny Silva up in 6th place ahead of Trumpets, with Carl Power up from 15th to 8th. Another lightning start for him. Charles Ford in the number 55 car, another man who's made progress, 17th to 9th in the Red Bull colours. And completing your top 10 is Adam Rossales, another Red Bull coloured car. John Lang and Bradley Philpott, Michael Weddle, some of our top guys from the previous round. We've got a load of cars off down at turn 6. Adam Rossales has gone off down there, but I believe Barry Kemp has as well from 3rd place. He has indeed.
And Danny Silver also ended up in the barriers. He's out of the race.
So drama at the action spot of turn 6. We're just going to be watching Spanners ready, who looks like he's going to mount an attack on 4th place man John Cox in that very bright pink BWT car. So this looks like the top battle on the circuit at the moment, as they come across the line to finish lap 2. And Spanners might have to break his golden rule of only overtake when absolutely necessary.
I think it is absolutely necessary at this point, because he's looking at a podium position, because the field's quite spread out today. So even Bradley Philpott, who is now rocketing up the standings here, he's only 3 places behind Spanners. But if he can just get ahead of John Cox, he's looking at a podium position.
Yeah, with Barry Kemp going off the road, this of course is now the podium for the battle for the podium, I should say, with John Cox in 3rd place. Just give you an update on the leaders: 1.5 seconds between James Wingfield and Tim Ellis as they came across the line. But all eyes on 3rd place as Cox and Spanners do battle. And yeah, as you say, Carl Power, John Lang, Bradley Philpott not far behind as well. They're just coming through turn 5 now, with Philpott making moves on and it looks like John Lang is in the thick of that action as well. Yep, he's just lost out to Philpott and Weddle actually. So that is all going over for 6th place at the moment. But for 3rd place, still super close between John Cox and Richard Spanners ready.
And coming into the final corner, Spanners is right up, tucked up behind him. He's going to the outside. He's going to put some pressure on, try a cut back. But
Yeah, maybe a little bit too wide there on the entry for Spanners, and doesn't look like he's got the momentum. Lost a little bit of ground there.
Your face looks like it hasn't got the momentum.
Thank you. Just give you an update on Richard Molden in the number 69 car, who has made his way up from 21st to 15th. Although that could well change as they come across the line. In 16th place, actually, as he's just been battling with Clappers, and he has Carsten Lemch just ahead of him as well, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know if we can go back to Spanners live. Can you hear me, Spanners?
Yes, what's up, buddy?
I was just about to say, you've got to look out for Carl Power coming up behind you. So this is going to get very tasty. How are you feeling?
Okay, so obviously this is a critical point. I'll come back to you later.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, so rather losing touch now with John Cox's Spanners in that battle for third place. And as I say, Carl Power all over him here. So two Missed Apex panelists are about to go wheel to wheel by the looks of it. Not sure what's been happening with Philpott and Weddle. Maybe they've been squabbling amongst themselves, but they have fallen back from Carl Power. So Power looks like he's the man on the move at the moment in this final championship race for this evening. We do all coming up for you. A little bit of fun with some stock cars at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Oval, but that is going to be after the final championship round that we're watching right now. And Carl Power, for a man on his debut with a suboptimal setup as well, not driven this car before, not even used iRacing before, he's doing a stellar job tonight.
Yeah, we say that
so
Carl
Kyle's
Power's
doing amazing. Sorry, guys, I'm on the straight now. Carl's doing incredible, but he's also super polite, so I'd be really surprised if he made a lunge.
You have seen him in the karting videos though, right? Lunges is pretty much the name of the game, and it looked like he was just going to try and make one there on the way into the Andretti hairpin.
Wow, maybe I was optimistic.
Optimistic, that's the name of your game.
Kyle may be a rookie to iRacing, but he is no stranger to sim racing in total. He drives a lot of project cars too for the Project 4 racing team, so he is no slouch.
Big gap just formed up at the front of the field, by the way. Nearly 4 seconds is James Wingfield's advantage in that number 13 car. Unlucky for some, is not unlucky for James Wingfield today. Looks set to take a race 3 win, but we're only at the halfway stage of this race. And meanwhile, this battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th as Bradley Philpott is closing back in on Carl Power. Nothing doing just yet. John Lang again having to make the moves as he's come up from 30th on the grid up into 8th place. He has got Michael Weddle just ahead of him, but he has got a bit of lap traffic in there as well. Just give you an update on the rest of the top 10. So it's actually it's Gary Thomas that is in 8th, or he was, because he's just gone round at the penultimate corner and made contact there with John Lang, and that is all to the advantage of Ian Erasmus, who picks up 2 spots.
And while that's going on, Philpott has just absolutely lunged on Carl Power, gone through, and he's on the inside of Spanners ready, so he's taken 2 cars in space
Brad
of
can
1
go
corner.
by. He can go by.
Is he
And
going to
so
be letting
can
Carl
Kyle,
Power
apparently.
through on the inside as well? He is indeed. Through goes Power. So how much further are they get up in the order, I wonder? Is John Cox's podium safe? Well, he's going to be looking in his mirrors now and seeing a mirror full of Philpott, and that is not something you would wish on your worst enemy, because you know an overtake is coming. And I'll tell you what, with only 8 seconds up to the leader, it'll be about 3 seconds by the time, if he gets this move done, up to Tim Ellis in 2nd place. So maybe Wingfield's just got his victory safe for now, as he's built up quite a tasty advantage. But I wonder if Philpott can make his way up into 2nd place.
And the next predator on the skyline for Richard Spanners ready is Michael Weddle, who is right on his tail again, and he's actually putting some pressure out of the corkscrew. He's going to make a lunge down the inside, and yeah, Spanners takes avoiding action, so that is Michael Weddle through.
Oh, Weddle's a lot faster than me. There's no point. May as well let him get chaos ahead.
Philpott going around the outside of John Cox in the battle for third place, and absolutely a dead heat as they come out of the final corner up towards the stripe to start lap 6, and Philpott is just edging ahead. He is ahead and up into third place now, up from 25th on the grid. How much further can he get? Is John Cox going to have a look up the inside, try and reclaim that position? No, he is not. So Philpott into second. Is he going to now be able to go after Tim Ellis and claim second place?
And just behind them, Kyle Power has just been put into a sideways spin as Michael Weddle just stuck his nose in. So he's lost a couple of positions. He's now behind Spanners Ready with Erasmus closing down on him fast.
Yeah, just saw his car going quite slowly out of the pit lane exit, obviously recovering from that incident.
So I feel like you guys, you could have said I overtook Kyle Power.
I mean, we have a duty to report facts here, Spanners.
Well, I overtook him.
Actually, there is a definition of overtake, and passing a car that's out of control is not in the definition of overtake.
You're not the boss of that.
It's a fact. Look it up. We'll give you an update on some of the other guys. We've got Sam Harper, who's come up from 29th to 14th. He is currently looking at Edward Shelley in the number 3 car. Richard Molden just behind these guys as well, up 6 places from 21st on the grid. David Hatton has not had a good race here, while his title rival Steve Ficacci has made his way up into 10th place. David Hatton is down in 22nd, so we will be seeing Ficacci leaving here with a bit of an advantage in the championship, I believe, although with so many points on offer, and we can be seeing big point swings, but we have had a couple of first-time winners tonight, and James Wingfield is about to add his name to that list, I believe, for this season anyway. Philpott is about to take second place. I would hedge a bet with a lap and a half still to go, and he is staring right at the back of Tim Ellis's car.
It's by no means done and dusted. There's just a second between them now, coming into turn 5.
And Tim Ellis knows how to defend a position well, so would not hedge any bets just yet. But if you twisted me arm, forced me to put money on it, I would go with Brad. Flying through that turn 6 and up towards the corkscrew for the penultimate time. And if these two start squabbling, that is only going to help James Wingfield secure his first victory of the season. Brilliant run out of the corkscrew for Brad Philpott, and down the inside, easy as you like. No resistance from Tim Ellis. There was nothing he could do, basically.
He's got a much better drive off the bottom of the corkscrew and just flung it into the inside of Rainy Bend, and then that was it. Job done.
So, final lap of the night for the championship races anyway. It's Michael Weddle up in P4 at the moment, ahead of John Cox. And maybe Richard Spanners Ready on this final lap can break his golden rule and go for an overtake and try and take a top 5 finish. But he's going to have to do it quickly, because there's Carl Power, John Lang, Ian Erasmus, and Steve Ficacci not far behind them as well, all wanting to take a bite out of the action as well.
And Spanners made a half move into the Andretti hairpin, just slightly around the outside of Cox, and that's actually allowed Kyle Power and John Lang to really close up. This is going to get very close towards the end of this race.
Still Cox leading this battle for 5th place. Spanners not close enough for a run. It actually looks like it's John Lang who is going to be making the move, although he does have quite significant damage on the front left of his car, so that might compromise him, but he's very close to Kyle Power on the run into turn 6. Spanner's got a wonderful run. Actually, Frost Cox a little bit defensive, and Cox has gone out wide on the exit of turn 6. Could this be Spanner's golden opportunity? He's rolled up alongside Cox's car, and look at this pack of 5 heading towards the corkscrew. But there goes John Lang trying to get around the outside as well. Cox holds the position for now. Lang sails by and picks up a couple of places there. Fantastic bit of racecraft there from John Lang to round out this final race of the day. But James Wingfield is coming round the final corner towards the front straight to take his first victory of the season and rounds out the evening tonight of championship races with victory. Brad Philpott, Tim Ellis and Michael Weddle will be the rest of the order, but who is going to come home in 5th place? John Cox has just been passed by John Lang at the final corner. Oh, we got a car up over on its roof on the exit of the corner there, but it is John takes that battle for 5th place ahead of Cox and Spanners Ready. I believe it was Carl Power who's got involved in that. Who is up on his roof?
It's Ian Erasmus who is upside down. I think
that is
Kyle
so
Power,
unfortunate for him.
Yeah, I think the two clattered into each other at the last corner and put him into the wall, and then he's ended up upside down.
Oh, a dramatic end to the final race there. And hopefully we will see what happened. Just a bit of contact between them ended in the most unfortunate way imaginable. But it is James Wingfield who takes your final race victory of the day, his first win of the season as well. Chris, we have had a phenomenal night of racing so far.
Oh, it's been absolutely amazing. And that is the championship races.
Hi, guys. Fantastic commentary from Chris and also Chris. Really enjoyed listening to you guys. Loads of fun. It's really random. If you want to get involved, email spannersready@gmail.com for round 4. Come join us. Come watch us. Let everyone know we're doing a bit of sim racing, even when the big boys have decided they've had enough after this current situation.
Now it's time for a little bit of fun. We have got some street stock cars at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and you maybe just caught the final few seconds of the free practice session there, which was topped by Richard Molden on a 36.377 in that number 69 car. And we'll be rolling into qualifying around about now, I think, as the session is getting underway. So we are following Gregory Leader in that number 9 car, heading out onto the pit, striking livery from the white and purple for him. Heading out onto the circuit. Just the one race we have for this one, and just a bit of fun after some real cool, close, fun MX5 racing. And we'll unwind a little bit on this one. Actually, we will have 30 laps around this track, but of course at 37, well, sub 37 seconds, really a pop. This won't take too long at all, maybe about 15 minutes or so. So until should be a good bit of oval fun. And we're just waiting for the first lap times to come in. So we've got the first lap times are starting to come in. It's Michael Weddle on a 36.6. Tim Ellis, Richard Molden, and Gregory Leader. James Wingfield and Ian Erasmus. That's your top 6 at the moment. We've got cars coming in at left, right, and centre, and it looks like where they can, they're trying to get out in packs because, of course, oval racing, all about the slipstream.
That's right, and there is a real art to oval racing. It's not as it's very nuanced. You have to be incredibly smooth, and it's all about just bleeding off into the corners and just trying to keep momentum up as much as possible, Chris.
Yeah, although of course with the iRacing system that we have here, they're not getting a slipstream off of the other cars. So what we're really going to be seeing here is how well they can get through these corners without scrubbing off any speed, even just through the slightest of steering inputs, and not back off the throttle in any way, shape or form, and taking the correct lines through those heavily banked curves. Just 0.02 of a second between the top two at the moment of Stephen Armstrong, 36.65, Michael Weddle, 36.67, and then just another 24 thousandths to John Lang. So it's going to be super tight margins all the way through. Actually, it's only, yeah, I'm seeing a Florida car 36.7, 36.7, 36.7, 36.8. If we were to take a look for the first lap in the 37s, I mean, it's 4/10 covering the top 16 cars. So how close do you want it, really?
And when they're travelling at over 140 miles an hour, the actual distance that entails is probably only the length of a pencil.
Yeah. So we're looking at John Lang, number 22 in the grey and orange. Just circling around the back section of the oval. If he finds another 0.5 of a second, he'll be on pole position. Clearly, he is just as rapid on these ovals as he has in the Mazdas. Steve Ficacci, our MX5 championship leader in the number 10 black and white car. No, excuse me. I've clicked out the wrong one. I guess what happened there was they moved positions right as I was clicking on them. No, Steve Ficacci, of course, in the 0-0 green and black car. It was Adam Rosales that I was accidentally looking at there before. Trumpets in the number 18, currently in 7th place. 36.772. So again, only less than 200 to Adam Rosales ahead of him. another 1/10 of a second, and that would put him in on the second row of the grid. Spanner's ready, who was second in the free practice session, currently down in 10th place. 36.796 for him. And getting right up below the line there on the way into the banked curve.
So getting below the line on an oval can be an advantage. It can hook you in and just drag you around. It can get very dusty and very difficult, as Spanners has just shown.
Not done him any favours there.
Oh, yeah, he's gone.
So we can just see Carl Powers just stopped on track. He's in 14th place at the moment. Before that, we were just getting a look at Matt Trumpets in 9th position now. As I think it's Anil Singh who's hopped up into 4th place in that number 42 car. We have Tim Ellis in the number 5. So I can imagine these positions switching about all over the place, really. So, have we got anyone on track at the moment, or are they all taking a breather? We do have Anil Singh on the track, number 4. We also have John Lang, who is his nearest rival, actually, 16 thousandths of a second between them. That is 3rd and 4th are being split. Actually, because we can see everyone, we can see they're actually quite close to each other on the circuit. If they were out together, that was. But of course, they were out in isolation. Oh, and John Lang has had a massive swap on, still trying to get that 22 car under control. A big moment there for John Lang.
That's one way to try and shorten the distance that you're traveling.
Mark Greenhow there in the number 17 car, currently 22nd on a 37.5. Currently the only runner not in the 36s at the moment. We have a 19 car grid for this one. The Conor Meyer, the only car yet to set a time at the moment. Just got Mark and Anil Singh on track at the moment, and we'll take a look at what Anil Singh's up to, see if he can improve on that 4th position. 36.710 is his time to beat the 36.873 last time around. And Anil Singh, we can see getting his wheels up onto the line, and there he goes again, doing it. Textbook technique. And now Anil, the only car out on track, because we are into the final minute of qualifying here. So doesn't look like we'll be seeing too many changes of position unless Anil Singh can pull something out of the bag here. It looks like it will be Michael Weddle on pole position with that 36.641, 9 thousandths ahead of Stephen Armstrong, and then 24 thousandths to John Lang, and then another 16 thousandths to this man, Anil Singh. And he came over the line there, didn't improve on that particular occasion. So looks like, 7 seconds left in the session. Looks like that'll be it. So that'll be Anil Singh in 4th, and then Tim Ellis 5th, Adam Rosales 6th, Steve Ficacci 7th, Danny Silver 8th, Matthew Ragsdale 9th, and then Richard Molden, your top 10. About to roll into the race. 30 laps of high-octane oval action to come. And I'll just be lining up on that straight, but of course it's a rolling start, as is traditional for oval racing. So we will see Michael Weddle lead the field away shortly. Chris, don't know how much experience you've ever had in oval racing. You ever give it a try?
It's not my bag. I'm much more of a European circuit type of guy. But I do love watching NASCAR, and the Indy 500 is one of the favorite events for me to watch for the whole year.
I mean, you are the sole reason I watched the Indy 500 last year.
I know, and I bet you enjoyed it.
I mean, I enjoyed being with a bunch of motorsport fans watching one of the biggest motorsport events of the year. Don't know if I necessarily enjoyed the race. I wouldn't have enjoyed it by myself, put it that way.
Very few things are best enjoyed by yourself. Yeah, I definitely, I think this. Oh, and they're off.
Yep. So the pace car leads the field around, and it'll be Michael Weddle in that number 7 car on pole position, ahead of Steve Armstrong in the 44, then John Lang in the 22, and Anil Singh 42. Nice formation building up already. Don't forget Tim Ellis there in the number 12, and Adam Rosales number 10. So set pace just 50 miles an hour or so as the pace car leads them round for this rolling start.
So I wonder if we'll see any bump drafting today, or if we're just going to see them all this pack racing. They're going to some of them are weaving to get their tires up to temperature. And I don't know if we're going to see any big wipeouts here. I suspect we will.
Yeah, they were keeping it fairly under control in the MX5 races, and we'll see what happens when we suddenly give them a load more horsepower and a lot more speed to be contending with at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Of course, the scene of our last MX5 round a couple of weeks ago. Gave some great racing there, and we'll expect a little bit more on the full oval as we're about to get underway. The pace car is in. Michael Weddle will choose the moment to put his foot down. And there he goes. And it looks like John Lang has got the jump there on Stephen Armstrong. Makes the move up into second place. So Michael Weddle leads. There goes John Lang into second. Then a bit of a gap has already formed back to fourth place. And that is Anil Singh dropping out on the high on the outside. Tim Ellis and Steve Ficacci going through there into fourth and fifth. So Ficacci now trying to pick up Tim Ellis as well now for good measure. And still on the high side there is Anil Singh, and looks like number 10 Adam Rosales is about to come through on the inside as well. So Anil Singh going backwards. Number 14 Danny Silver close in there as well, side by side with Richard Molden, who's come up through the pack. And it looked like Anil Singh just made the barriers there as they came up to start the second lap. Yep, he's going backwards very, very quickly indeed. Top three, meanwhile, absolute pack. And it looks like John Lang is coming back under pressure from Stephen Armstrong, who wants second place back. Michael Weddle still leaving, but up high is John Lang trying to go for the lead now. Weddle will just edge him out ever so slightly, and number 22 getting a little bit twitchy up there on the high side, and that could be Stephen Armstrong's opportunity. And he's got the line through up on the inside, back onto the banking. And yet, tighter line for Stephen Armstrong, working out nicely for him there. Through on the inside, and he's back level with second place. Michael Weddle still holding out on the lead, just about though. And still high is John Lang, and just edging out ahead. He could just slot back into his second place spot there, but he's now going for the lead, just getting his front arches alongside the rear of Michael Weddle's car.
Armstrong got a little bit sideways coming through the corner, so he's lost a little bit of momentum, but now he's picked up the double slipstream again, so he'll be right back up on these guys in no time.
Yeah, Lang still hasn't dropped down, has he, from the right-hand side of the circuit? And still going for the lead, and now opening the door again for Steve Armstrong in the slipstream of Michael Weddle. Get back up into P2 there, could he? All going up for fourth place as Steve Ficacci has picked that one up, and Tim Ellis and Adam Rosales.
So Lang still up on the high side. He's still able to go very quickly up there. It's a longer way round, but you can carry a bit more speed, so you tend to drop back a little bit through the corner, but then gauge back up on the straight. So they're still side by side.
So Ficacci still leading that battle for fourth place with Tim Ellis, and then Richard Molden has got him right up in there as well. Adam Rosales, Danny Silva, Ian Erasmus and Matt Trumpet are right in there as well. Top three still has not broken formation, but it's a pack of four going for fourth place. Scratch that, make it a pack of five actually, as the 808 car, Ian Erasmus, getting in there as well.
This has all been surprisingly clean so far. The only one that I could see was Emil Singh, who just scrubbed the wall, and that put him back through the thick. And as I say that, somebody just got onto the infield. Luckily, they managed to catch that, or they would have wiped everybody out.
Oh, got a car off in the background. Couldn't quite make out who that was, but big accident. Looked like he was up on two wheels there at one point.
Yeah, that's the commentator's curse right there for you in action.
Yeah, perfectly timed. John Lang so close to making contact with the back of Weddle's car there as they're side by side for the lead once again. Stephen Armstrong looks like he's just losing out in this battle, but it's Lang once again up high and just not able to carry enough speed to get past Michael Weddle at this point. And again, opening up the door for Stephen Armstrong.
So in the mid-pack, we've got Carsten Lang, and he is on his inside is Richard Spanners Ready in the purple and orange car number 20.
Yep, good bit of side-by-side action going there just across the line. Only 3 thousandths between them at that point. And this is all going off for 14th place at the moment. Gregory Leader just in front of them. On his own a little bit there, actually. Trumpets currently inside the top 10. He was 9th across the line in that 18 car. He's got a little bit of space, actually 6/10 to Adam Rosales in front of him. And about half a second to Danny Silva behind him. Stephen Armstrong, oh, look how close it is at the front of the field now as John Lang has lost a couple of positions there. Steve Ficacci has joined the fray and is up into third place. Tim Ellis trying to get involved in that as well. So is Richard Molden. Pretty much everyone in the top 6 right now battling for the lead. And it's just an absolute pack now as they're rounding the next bank's curve. Ficacci and Stephen Armstrong so close to making contact there in the middle of the pack. Battling out there for second place. John Lang still up high, as is Stephen Armstrong. Ficacci up on the inside, as is Ellis and Molden, but it's still Weddle leading just by a car length as they went into the corner.
Weddle's doing an incredible job here because the last place that you want to be in pack racing is right at the front because you don't get the slipstream. You scrub your tyres a bit more, you use a lot more fuel, and you are ready to be pounced on just as they come off the corner.
Lap 10, so we are a third of the way through this race already. And looks like we've got Adam Rosales and Ian Erasmus joining this battle now as well. And John Lang just giving Stephen Armstrong a little bit of a nudge as they go down the straight. Bit of a bump draft there. Working out a lot nicer than it did for Lando Norris on Max Verstappen earlier in the week. Anybody who saw that clip, no, he went absolutely flying in the Porsche.
Yes, the two teammates there did try and give themselves a bit of a bump draft, but it didn't turn out quite so well for Verstappen.
Oh, sorry to cut over you there, but it was a bit of a twitch there from Tim Ellis, and almost, I think, did just make a little bit of contact there with Richard Molden, front to rear, but he's managed to hold on to it, and actually John Lang now is the one falling back. He's just lost 2-3 places and is slipping away as Armstrong still mounting a challenge, but it's now Focacci going through on the inside into second place, and Ellis looks like he's about to follow him through on the low side with the double slipstream. And huge carnage just going on behind them. I think that might have been in the second pack there, around about 10th place. Huge amount of contact going on there, cars in the barriers, but meanwhile this lead battle is still raging on with Armstrong now. It looks like he's slipping back. Richard Molden is about to slip through there into 4th place as well. So John Lang trying to get his nose back in on this as well, but he's still up high. I don't think he's actually been on the low side at any point at all this race, but he's about to fall into the back of the pack because Adam Rosales in number 10 is about to go through as well, and that's going to put him down in about 8th place, I think.
Yeah, he's going to try and work his way down to the low side because he's just getting boxed out up there.
Tim Ellis giving Armstrong a nudge, and Armstrong has made the barriers.
Yeah, he's in the wall. He's going to lost a lot of momentum. That is him.
He's
out
still
of
going.
This pack.
Still going, luckily. So Focacci leads Ellis in that battle for second. Still Michael Weddle up at the front, and Richard Molden and John Lang are now side by side for 4th place. Lang still up high. He's just cleared him. If he could just slot back into the pack and get a slipstream, he'll be able to make a little bit of progress. And look who else is joining the fray now. Erasmus, and is that Spanners in there as well? No, not quite. I think that is just Ian Erasmus. And that'll be Stephen Armstrong getting back into this after his little bit of a brush with the barriers that he had earlier on. Still Molden and Lang side by side for 4th. They're not breaking formation this lot, are they? And Ellis again, just weaving across. Lang is making his move for 3rd place, trying to get up around the outside. And now alongside Focacci for 2nd. Lap 15, the halfway mark through there. Still Weddle who leads. He has not lost the lead at all since he led from the start at pole position. And Lang has worked his way back up into 2nd place. He is absolutely level with Steve Focacci for 2nd place, and is just making his way up alongside Weddle as well. Half a car length in it for 2nd place. Richard Molden still getting in there. He's in 5th place, just getting up there with Tim Ellis, number 10. Adam Rosales in there as well. 8 cars for the lead. Stephen Armstrong at the back of the pack with Ian Erasmus, and they'll surely be charging through at some point while this lot are just giving each other little nudges. Richard Molden getting forced up wide there by Adam Rosales. Not sure if there was contact there, but Richard Molden just able to keep it out of the barriers. Lang by half a car length challenging for the lead. This is about as close as it's been for Michael Weddle all race. But again, Lang up high, coming back under pressure from Steve Focacci. Chris, how's Spanners getting on a little bit further down in the pack?
Yeah, so moving back towards Spanners, he is right on the tail of Gregory Leader. These two are alone in their little battle here. So they, unfortunately, are dropping away from the front pack because they haven't got the slipstream to...
Sorry, I've got
going.
to cut over you there because Michael Weddle has been pitched into the barriers by John Lang. The leader of this race from start to finish has gone off, and John Lang has made the barriers as well. 2 cars off, and it is now Focacci who leads Ellis.
It's a real shame for Michael Weddle. He was doing so well just to keep in front of everybody there. Did you see what exactly happened there? Did he stick a nose in, or was it just a rear end?
I think it was still going through the corner. Maybe see a replay on that, but the end result is the same. Michael Weddle, who has been leading so long in this race, all 17 laps so far, and he is out of it. So it was contact with Lang that we saw there, and Erasmus getting involved as well, so that'll be why John Lang lost a little bit of momentum as well. Richard Molden had to take to the grass, I saw, as well, but he has recovered and is in 4th place, although has lost an almighty amount of ground to this top 3. So it now looks like it's a pack of 3 for the lead. Focacci, Ellis and Rosales.
Yeah, and Ellis was looking high, trying to see if he could get past Focacci there, but he's had to drop back in. He's gone high again. He's going to see if he can work his way around the top there, but Focacci is keeping a nice low line. It's very hard to get past if they keep it on that on the apron, or just hugging the apron there.
Super tight stuff up at the front of the field. Yeah, did you want to finish what you were saying about Spanners and some of the guys in the middle of the pack who might have an update for them, actually, because there is a yellow flag out there.
Yes, so Spanners was trying to get past Gregory Leader, but when the yellow flags came out, he was still marginally behind. He was only a couple of tenths behind. So they're all falling into place now. Is that the pace car out, or is it just a full course yellow?
Looks like just a yellow at the moment. Can't quite make out who. There's somebody plummeting down the order. Can't quite make it out who it is. We do have the pace car out, actually. So Steve Ficacci will line up behind the pace car, and it's going to be back in formation at the start of lap 21. So still 8 and a bit laps to go. Depending on how long this caution is out for, we could be seeing an almighty finish. So I'll give you a rundown of the order that we have now that they've settled in. So Ficacci leads Ellis, Rosales. Richard Molden, after his brush with the grass, has held on to 4th place. John Lang, despite his incident, is in 5th place. And it's Gregory Leader up from 17th on the grid into 6th. Richard Spanners ready in 7th. Ian Erasmus 8th, and he was in that lead pack as well. Henk Ensing in 9th, and then John Cox. Actually, my timing is just updated, just as they went over the line. So Gregory Leader 6th, as I said. Then Spanners, Michael Weddell 8th, actually. Then Ian Erasmus 9th, and Henk Ensing 10th. So maybe it was one of the cars I just mentioned who did end up meeting the barriers, although I can't see anything on the timing that would suggest otherwise. So still the pace car out then, and oh, who is that making the barriers under a caution? That seemed like a little bit clumsy, maybe caught out by somebody's braking there, although they are reduced to 50 miles an hour. So I don't know what if somebody's accelerating and braking. It really shouldn't be under a pace car, but nonetheless, car just meeting the barriers there. We saw in the back.
It's actually much harder than you think there, Chris.
Oh, okay, I stand corrected. It'd be great when I get set up on this and I'll be able to speak from experience, but right now I can just sit in judgment of all of you, so it's real fun. Still setting a hot pace earlier in this race anyway. Times down in the 36.6s. But you can see this lot were holding each other up at the front of the field. 36.7s for the top 4 as a strong lap. But we've got a few more cars. Who's that? Maybe just unlapping himself or heading towards the pits. That'll be the number 11 car just zooming by. That's James Wingfield.
And there is a little bit of carnage at the back. There was a couple of cars that just turned round.
Yeah, that was number 17, Mark Greenhow, that just got turned round there. Very odd one.
It's amazing just how many incidents we're having during this caution period.
More incidents under this caution period than we have in the rest of the race.
Yeah, I thought it was called a safety car, Chris.
Yeah. Technically, it's a pace car. They wouldn't have an ironic name.
In motorsport in general, there have been quite a few incidents under safety cars in their time. There was, I always find it very funny when the safety car crashes. I think last year one of the IndyCar pace cars decided to do some donuts by accident as it hoofed it out of one of the corners and ended up in the wall. and all the other cars didn't know whether to go past or not. It was absolutely fantastic.
I mean, what an awkward decision you have to make.
He properly stacked it into the barriers. There was bits of carbon fibre from the Corvette.
I think I remember the clip, yeah. So, lap 24, and if the safety car comes in on this lap, we'll have 6 green flag laps, which will only take about 3 minutes, to be honest. So, hopefully, this car gets out the way anytime soon and we can get back racing again. Didn't quite catch what brought out safety car. Saw the yellow flags being waved, but couldn't quite see what happened. Obviously, it must have been something quite almighty. Maybe it had something to do with the huge pile-up we were seeing unfolding while we were following the leaders. But that's just speculation on my behalf. So
the lights are out on the pace car. I think that means it should be coming in the end of this lap. Hopefully.
Excellent news. So we will have 6 green flag laps of racing when they get underway. And yep, pace car is in, as Steve Ficacci will choose the moment that he floors it. And there he goes. And once again, it looks like the car in third place has got the jump on it, but Tim Ellis very quickly chops him off and just manages to hold on to his second place there. Richard Molden up, looks like he's going to go high as John Lang finally finds the inside line of the oval and is going to be following his way through in the slipstream of Adam Rosales to try and pick up 4th place.
There was a spinner right at the back, but I can't quite see who that was. We've got Ficacci out the front, and he did make a good jump at the start, but we've got Ellis coming up fast behind on the slipstream.
Yep, Lang and Molden still side by side, and looks like Lang is going to be the one who finally edges ahead. Gregory Leader in the number 9 car, just sitting pretty in there as well, and Lang squeezing Molden right up to the wall on the outside there, but he gets the move done and is up into 4th place. Spanners ready in the back of this pack as well. Looks like Leader was getting a little bit out of shape there, and Spanners was having to take avoiding action. I don't know about for the stream, but for me, Gregory Leader is flickering in and out of the picture, which is suboptimal. But again, this is the realities of sim racing. Hopefully he's not doing that for Spanners in front of him, because that's going to be impossible for him to follow. So we've got a pack of 5 currently going for the lead. Then we have Gregory Leader, so make it a pack of 7 actually. All going for the lead, and it's Rosales who's getting up past Ellis. Ellis looks a little bit out of shape there actually. Spanners going up high as well, almost losing it into the barriers. Leader is down on the inside lane. Looks like he's had a problem. Maybe he's met the barriers somewhere, so that's going to promote Spanners up into 6th. Molden there looked like he was getting a little bit out of shape, as he is side by side with John Lang. Ellis and Rosales also side by side. Still Ficacci who is hitting it. Round goes Ellis. He's been pitched round by Richard Molden, and Spanners ready picks up 2 places.
That was masterful avoiding there from Spanners. He had to just brush the wall to get past, but he is now in 4th position and is looking pretty.
Yep, so Molden has lost out there a little bit. And it's all to the advantage of Lang, Rosales and Ficacci, although Spanners is closing in on them at a hot pace. So side by side for 2nd place, still Ficacci leading. Somehow the leader of this race, whether it was Weddell before and now Ficacci, has just been able to hang on for so long in the lead of this race. Lap 29, so just 2 to go. And Ficacci's up wide. Maybe it was contact there with Rosales. Rosales made the barriers. So now Ficacci, is he going to be able to hold on? No, it's Lang going down on the inside. Ficacci loses his lead. And Molden trying to pick up the pieces as well. Who's that on the outside? Ficacci up on the outside. So still not done for the lead. Molden getting into 4th place, and Spanners now 3rd. But again, so close to contact there between Lang and Ficacci.
Lang and Ficacci are 400ths of a second as they came across the line there. This is going to be so tight on this final lap, that high line.
So it's 5 for the lead. Contact there between Spanners and Molden. Sorry to cut over you there, but that's just pushed out Molden wide and has maybe just cost him his momentum. Only half a lap in it left. So Ficacci maybe is just ahead by a narrow width. Spanner's getting well out of shape there, and that is all to the disadvantage of Adam Rosales, who can't find a way through, but it looks like it's going to be side by side between Focacci and Lang for the lead of the race, and I believe it's going to be, it's an absolute dead heat, and I couldn't make out who it was. John Lang by 4,000th of a second to Steve Focacci, and then Richard Molden just pipped Spanners to the podium there with Adam Rosales 5th. Absolutely dramatic finale to tonight's action there.
Wow, that was such a dramatic finish over the line. And just obviously behind them, we had Richard Molden coming in third, but ending up sideways across the line. That was some very impressive stuff.
So I'll just fill you in on the rest of the top 10. It was Michael Weddle, our pole man and our early race leader, in 6th place. Only 1.7 behind in the end. Then John Cox in 7th. Ian Erasmus 8th. Tim Ellis 9th. And Danny De Silva in 10th place. Well, I don't know how much longer we're going to be hanging around on the stream, so I will just take this opportunity to thank everybody for watching, whether you've done it on the stream or in the highlights that will go up on this channel later. We hope you enjoyed all the action. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope we'll see you in a few weeks' time for our next MX5 event.